No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for August the 1st, 2022. August 1 warning. 2 nights after SummerSlam. Raw was in Houston, Texas. A new era in WWE with the Triple H regime in full effect. So how different was this week's Raw from previous weeks? Was there much of a difference? Let's go ahead and break it down. Josh Mansfield loved the show, by the way. Did I feel the same as Josh? Well, let's get to it. The first hour of Raw was commercial free, which I do not believe WWE officially announced in advance. If they did, I missed it. We had Becky Lynch come into the ring. Her arm was in a sling. There were reports that she suffered a separated shoulder at SummerSlam, and she was selling her shoulder during the match. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat. He says, say yes to no DQ, like and share, hashtag stick to my shtick. Appreciate that, Walter Cruz. We had Becky say that the pay-per-view reminded her who the hell she is. It's about owning up to her mistakes, being better today than yesterday. She talked about her shoulder, talked about how painful it was during the SummerSlam match, said that she gave her best against Bianca, but her best wasn't good enough. But she is not defined by one match. She's not defined by a man. She defines the man. Basically, Becky Lynch reverting back to the man, babyface turn, full blown here. She said a new comeback story starts now. She called out Bianca Belair to the ring. Bianca praised Becky, called her the man, and the two of them hugged, firmly burying the hatchet here. But Becky did say she'll see Bianca one day and then took her leave. Bianca then got on the mic and said she has nothing but respect for Becky. She has not forgotten what Becky did, but Becky made her work for the championship. She said she's ready for what's next, but then all of a sudden we cut to the backstage area and we had Bayley, Skye, and Dakota Kai attacking Becky Lynch. We saw pretty much the aftermath of it. Becky must really be hurt that they're doing this phantom injury backstage where they attacked her with a chair. And apparently, according to WWE, Becky is going to be out of action for several months and she might need surgery, according to reports that are floating around. Hopefully she's back soon. This is another unfortunate injury. We have seen a lot of injuries in 2022, and this is just the latest one. So hopefully she is back sooner than later. Jeremy McGill said regarding this show, and thank you, Jeremy, for the super chat, says, better pacing, new contenders, and no toilet humor. I will say that. We did not have the Vince McMahon toilet humor on this show, and no 24/7 title segment. Hopefully that's done, and we're not going to see the 24/7 title again. I do not mind R-Truth being around and doing some comedy, but I really hope that title is no more. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, should Becky Lynch win the Royal Rumble next year? Yeah, I would say so. I think that Ronda Rousey, I know people like Liv Morgan, but I expect Ronda to get that title back at some point. Ronda wins the title. Becky wins the Royal Rumble. Seems like an obvious direction for WrestleMania in Hollywood. Finally, we get the Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey one-on-one match. Jack Gibbons sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. Says, hey, Aaron, all the way from Australia. Glad to check the live show today since I work. I always catch up on demand. Love your channel and your dedication. Well, thank you very much for that, Jack. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching this. And if you are enjoying the live stream, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube and just share a link to this video on social media. Noah Foster sent in a $5 super chat. The Simple Man says, tremendous show. We'll see when the man comes back to town again. Get well soon, Becky. And I definitely second that about Becky Lynch. Hopefully she'll be back fairly soon. And maybe we'll see her get in the mix in time for the Royal Rumble, or maybe even sooner than that. Apparently she's going to be out for several months, according to WWE. So we'll see. Hamp Connell with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate it. Says, I was hoping mostly for a better format for the show, but still there was endless video packages and replays of 15 minutes ago. As far as the production goes of the show, nothing is really going to change as long as Kevin Dunn is running it. You have to keep in mind Kevin Dunn is still there, and Triple H even mentioned Kevin Dunn when he was talking about moving forward with the product. For the time being, Kevin Dunn is still going to be there. As far as the quick camera cuts, I feel like it's been toned down a little bit, but I still noticed for some of the segments there were a lot of camera cuts. And they did do a lot of video packages from SummerSlam, but, you know, that's pretty typical. They've been doing that for years as far as the recaps from the big events go. Next week, I would expect to see fewer recaps, hopefully. And 404 UNF says he's going to say no to no DQ. Ouch. Sucks for me. We had a cool video package here hyping up the U.S. title, showing all of the different champions. JBL narrated it. I liked this. I thought that this was a good way to build up the U.S. title. I still want to see the world champion on Raw, but it is what it is for now. But in the meantime, let's build up the U.S. title. What about the IC title? Let's see what they do with the IC title on SmackDown. 404 UNF just sent in a $5 super chat. Says, Baba Booey, Baba Booey, Baba Booey, Howard Stearns Johnson. All right, thank you for the super chat. Now moving on, we had a triple threat match. We had 2 triple threat matches on this show to figure out who would go on into a singles match, and then the winner of that going on to next week's show to face Bobby Lashley for the U.S. title. Our first match, triple threat match, was AJ Styles versus Mustapha Ali versus The Miz. Miz has "Hello, my balls are massive" on his trunks. And we had a little clip of Logan Paul, who said he has signed a multi-year, multi-event deal with WWE. I thought he announced that already, but he said it, and he said he doesn't know when he'll be back, but he will be back. Storyline in this match was that the Miz's ribs were taped up, and that was affecting him during the match. Like, he couldn't hook the leg for a pin attempt. Crowd was chanting tiny balls at him. Miz ended up being thrown ribs first into the table by Styles. Ali came out of nowhere with a tornado DDT to Styles on the floor. And then back in the ring, Miz hit the skull-crushing finale, but could not make the cover right away. And there was a kick out. And then Ali hit the big 450 splash to Miz. But then literally right as soon as Ali hit the move, Styles caught him with the Styles Clash and hit the Styles Clash right onto Miz. Ali was slammed onto Miz, and then Styles pinned Ali to pick up the victory. I thought this was a good match, and I loved the finish. The finish was great here. My description doesn't do it justice. It was really well done, very smooth. Check it out on Twitter or YouTube if you get the chance. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. And, Not sure what he's trying to pull here. He says, say yes to Aaron Rift, say no to Rift Aronson. I mean, you shouldn't even mention Rift Aronson, but I will agree with you on that take. And Shaku84 sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you. Says, aloha from Hawaii. I will say yes to no DQ. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. And this was a nice showing for Ali. He got to be in a good match on Raw. Got a full entrance, even though he lost, he still got to be on the big show and got to be in the match. Hey, like Walter says, or actually Ali said, it's a step up from main event. We had Adam Pearce backstage checking on Becky Lynch, and she needed some ice. And then we had Bayley's crew interviewed, Control or whatever they're being called. I'm not sure if they have an official name yet. She said it's not about Becky, it's not about Bianca, it's about them. And then the Usos arrived for an interview and just basically said they are going to beat the Mysterios again, just like they beat the Street Profits again, just like they beat the other teams time and time again. We then had Seth Franklin Rollins come into the ring for a promo. And he said that they were celebrating because they don't have to hear or see Riddle. Riddle, according to Rollins, crossed the stupid line and is now on the shelf just like Randy. And Seth said now he can turn his attention to the unified champion, Roman Reigns. But then the Street Profits arrived and Rollins called them losers, said they suck so bad they should break up. And Montez Ford made fun of Rollins losing to Cody Rhodes when Cody only had one working boobie. And they were going to set up a singles match against Rollins by doing rock, paper, scissors. And Montez Ford just grabbed the referee and ran to the ring. And that set up Montez Ford versus Seth Franklin Rollins. Ford got driven into the ring post, barely got back in the ring, barely beat the 10 count. Rollins targeted the ribs. Ford started to make a comeback, hit a crossbody from the top. Rollins kicked out of that. They traded blows back and forth. Ford started to build some momentum. He hit a tornado DDT, but Rollins got a foot on the rope. And Rollins hit a buckle bomb and a Falcon Arrow, but Ford kicked out of that. Rollins missed the frog splash, and then Ford went for his frog splash. Rollins got his knees up, and then Rollins hit the stomp to win. So Ford was very game, but ultimately Seth Franklin Rollins picked up the win here. And then afterwards, Rollins tried to hit another one, but Angelo Dawkins ran down there to make the save. Next up, we had Alexa Bliss versus Asuka in a one-on-one match. And there really wasn't much to it. It was a short match here. It was quickly ruined by Bayley and her crew. They ran down and attacked both Alexa Bliss and Asuka. So I guess a no contest. Bianca Belair ran down to make the save, wanted a match with one of them, and Skye ended up accepting the match. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, still thinking Rollins versus Reigns in November. Yeah, you may be right on that one. If Roman Reigns is still the champion come November, Virtue seems to think that will be the case. We shall see. We had the other triple threat match for the United States title #1 contendership. We had Dolph Ziggler versus Champa. Still no Tommaso. Don't know if that's going to change. And Chad Gable. Gable cut his pre-match promo, said Houston has a problem. He has a brain twice the size of Texas. And this was a pretty solid match here with these guys. Champa and Gable were working together for a while, but then things fell apart inevitably between them. Lots of near falls going around here. And eventually it was Champa that pinned Gable with the fairy tale ending. Shout out to the Big Vito brand. Make sure you check out the Big Vito brand on TikTok and other social media platforms. We had Edge come into the ring for a promo, and he's back to his old music again. And he's once again the Rated R superstar. He thanked Houston, Texas. He said that he's been an asshole in recent months, but now everyone gets what they wanted. He talked about how he formed Judgment Day to help out the younger talent, but they decided once they got a taste of power that they were going to just do whatever they wanted. Edge said it clouded their judgment, and he admitted he did not see it coming, and that's rare for him. But now he said it's time to kill what he created. And that pretty much was the promo. It was short and to the point, so that was good. I liked that he didn't ramble for like 10 minutes. Caleb Jacobs sent in a $4.08 super chat. Thank you, Caleb. I appreciate it. Says, I hope Sasha and Naomi back up Bianca. We'll see. There's been a lot of rumors about Sasha and Naomi coming back, and I feel like the odds of that happening are strong now. Before Vince left, I felt like Sasha was gone for sure. But now I could definitely see both of them coming back, and there's a lot of talk about them coming back, and I would be surprised if they do not come back fairly soon. We had a few more backstage promos, Rey Mysterio and Dominic talking about, first they talked about Edge and how Judgment Day doesn't really understand how savage Edge can be, and then the Mysterios vowed to win the tag team titles. And Bayley and her crew were interviewed once again, and she said that two of the best in the world have been waiting far too long to get an opportunity. Of course, talking about Skye and Dakota Kai. And Dakota Kai, with a little Triple H reference, said they know how to play the game. Apparently so. And Bayley said that they will soon be in full control. Bayley's been tweeting about control, and people think that's the name of the faction. I guess we'll see. Still nothing official, I don't think. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, I still want Naomi to join the bloodline. I do too. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I gave up on that long before her and Sasha walked out. So I still don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. Triple H, if he listens to the fans, maybe it will happen. We had Bianca Belair versus Skye with Bayley and Dakota Kai at ringside. So for this match, when this was announced, I'm thinking, well, how do you book this? Because Bianca Belair, the champion, should not be losing, and Io really should not be losing her first match on Raw, right? So I was curious to see what they were going to do here. And, first thing you would think during a normal Raw is that, oh, they're just going to do a DQ or a non-finish. And I'm like, well, this is the Triple H era. Maybe they're going to do something different here. So anyways, good match here, long match. And just as Bianca was building up momentum, that's when you had Bayley and Dakota Kai starting to interfere. At one point, Bayley grabbed the foot of Bianca Belair, and then they were both on the outside of the ring, Io and Bianca. And then Bianca was trying to throw Io back into the ring, but Bayley and Dakota Kai started to sit on the apron, and they blocked Bianca from doing this. That's when Asuka and Alexa Bliss came down, and they were there to even the odds. And Bayley once again interfered. This is when she grabbed the leg, actually. And Io Shirai tried to win with her feet on the ropes, but Alexa Bliss pushed the feet off. And then all of a sudden, Alexa got into the ring along with Asuka, and they started fighting Bayley and Dakota Kai. None of the participants, neither Bianca nor Io, were touched, yet the referee called off the match. Not sure why the referee called it off. I guess he felt like things were too out of control, but the match was thrown out. I guess a no contest. Anthony says Corey Graves called Io Skye, Io Shirai. Botch. That is true. He did do that. But you know what? I probably would have done the same thing if I was there calling the show. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat says, is it okay for champions to lose due to interference? Every once in a while. The problem is that for so long, it's been a pattern where the champion loses. And generally, I'm not a fan of it. I'm also not a fan of doing a long match that has a non-finish, which is what they did here. I think I would have preferred Io to have a different opponent. Somebody she could have beaten, somebody lower on the totem pole, like a Dana Brooke or somebody like that, and give her a nice solid win on the show instead of doing this where it was just, a long match with a non-finish. After earlier in the show, they did a women's match with a non-finish. So still, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I know people are like, well, Raw's really been showing signs of change. And yeah, there have been a few, like obviously Io Shirai getting an opportunity, Dakota Kai getting the spotlight, Champa getting more of the spotlight. To me, that's the biggest change that I noticed on this show, that a few of the key Triple H people are being used in higher profile positions. That's a positive. I will say that much. So anyways, yeah, the referees coming down, officials trying to break up everybody, crowd doing the let them fight. Another issue with the show, and it's not WWE's fault, this crowd sucked. They were in Houston, Texas, and they did do some chants, but it was pretty quiet. The atmosphere, it almost felt like an empty arena. Like there just wasn't a lot of energy. I don't know if the crowd is not mic'd properly or what, but like you watch an AEW show and the fans are always so loud and energetic. And I know people say, it's not about the crowd, it's about the wrestling. And I kind of disagree. And I think the Thunderdome and the Performance Center era really showed us that you need the audience participation. They can make or break a show. They can ruin a good show. And sometimes they can take a bad show and make it seem better than it actually is. So that was a negative. It definitely did not sound like there were any piped in reactions, but at the same time, that might have been a negative just because I think it did hurt the show a little bit. Not sure what the deal was. Houston's usually a pretty good crowd for WWE. But then again, it's like Southeast Texas and not too far from Corpus Christi, which is historically considered like the worst wrestling town in the country. So anyways, Champa was backstage with Miz cutting a promo, said that AJ Styles picked the wrong side when he went with Logan Paul, and AJ made a mockery of their home. We then had AJ Styles versus Champa, and somebody on Twitter was like, well, no rematches on this show. That was a positive. Well, AJ and Champa had a match less than 2 months ago on Raw. So it is a repeat match, but you know what? AJ Styles and Champa, I'm fine with them doing this more than once. This was a good match too, as you would expect from these guys. And it went back and forth here for a bit. Styles finally was able to hit the Styles Clash, but then the Miz out there being the difference maker put Ciampa's foot on the rope. And then everybody was on the outside. Miz was knocked over the barricade, but then Styles was sent over the barricade. And as Styles tried to climb over it to get back in the ring, Miz grabbed his foot. Styles still managed to get back in the ring, but then Ciampa took advantage right away, hit the fairy tale ending, and advances to next week's United States title match. And we had Bobby Lashley make a very brief appearance. He cut a backstage promo, just basically saying he's going to beat Ciampa next week. Dr. Scorpio with a $5 super chat says, to be fair, the crowd is used to Vince's terrible booking and creative for years, so not surprised they were quiet. I think then again, it's Texas, LOL. Could just be a case where Triple H has to change the fans' mentality, and it's going to take time to build up these people that Triple H is pushing and get people invested in what they're watching. I mean, yeah, these fans bought tickets to the show, so clearly they are fans, but maybe they were expecting a 24/7 title segment. Maybe that's what they like. I don't know. I'm not sure why they were not reacting much, but it happens. And by the way, next week, Raw is going to be in Cleveland. So my thought when they announced this U.S. title #1 contender stuff, I was thinking, well, this could set up Clash at the Castle, right? Have the U.S. title defended on the pay-per-view. And if Triple H is really trying to build up the titles, the secondary titles, and make them important, they need to be defended at the pay-per-views, the premium live events. So that'll be the real test for me if they're really trying to elevate these titles. Once I start seeing the IC title and the US title regularly defended on the premium live events, then I know Triple H is making some good changes. But next week, it's interesting because it's Cleveland. Now, what is significant about this? Ciampa going for the US title in Cleveland. A certain somebody that he used to feud with and team up with is from Cleveland, Johnny Gargano. I'm sure people are going to be speculating and talking about this over the next week. Really interesting. If Gargano's not showing up next week, then I question booking this match next week. I think they should have saved it for Clash at the Castle with all the investment they put into setting up Ciampa as the #1 contender just to do a match on Raw. Like, there's got to be something happening next week. Otherwise, why not just save it until Clash at the Castle? Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Says, I think Triple H not coming out to address the fans at the start of the show was a mistake. Everybody knows what happened, so why not acknowledge it? Well, WWE did acknowledge that Vince is gone. We had Stephanie on the one show. But yeah, I would have liked it. I think that was a missed opportunity. I think Triple H coming out there and doing a little rah-rah speech and hyping up the fans, saying he's going to listen. You know, something like that I think would have been nice to energize the fans in the arena and get them pumped up. So yeah, maybe that was something that should have been done. And then finally, we had our main event of the evening. We had the Mysterios challenging the Usos for the unified tag team titles. And this was a good main event. They did get a good amount of time here. Dominic got in some offense, but then he was sent into the post. Usos worked over Dominic for a while, and then Ray came in. He hit a double 619. Him and Ray and Dominic hit a double 619 to Jimmy, and then Dominic came off the top with a big splash, but that was broken up. And then Ray got taken out of the equation on the outside of the ring. He was super kicked. Dominic went for another 619, but Jay tagged in. Usos hit the 1D, and they scored the victory to retain their titles. no surprise here. But then we had an interesting post-match angle. Judgment Day ran down, attacked the Mysterios, and then Edge made the save. He was vowing to end Judgment Day, and he went for the spear. However, Rhea Ripley shoved Dominic into Finn Balor. So Edge was targeting Balor, but Balor was knocked aside by Dominic, and Edge inadvertently speared Dominic Mysterio. So I liked this angle to end the show. We don't get cliffhangers, and one positive I'll say about this Raw was we got a nice little cliffhanger here. What's going to happen now with Dominic and Edge? Obviously, it was an accident, but that starts to complicate things a little bit in the camp of the good guys. So I did like this ending, and no comment here, no theory on the show whatsoever. That is very true. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, is there any hope of saving Judgment Day after SummerSlam? Well, if they get a new member, if Dominic goes to the dark side, which fans have been talking about a split between the Mysterios for a while now, that could be something to watch for. Maybe this was the beginning of it. Let's see here. We had a few more super chats. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, with Triple H in control, Judgment Day won't go supernatural, so Edge will return to the group. WWE can make this whole thing a swerve. Edge better as a heel. I don't think that's going to happen, Walter. It just wouldn't make sense, first of all. And second, with Edge having his old music back and he's coming out there and apologizing to the fans, like I think they're done with him as a heel. They're just moving forward with the storyline, and wherever it's going to go, I think that it'll probably be somebody else stepping in as a new member and not Edge. I mean, it definitely seemed like a tease that maybe Dominic will end up in the group. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, I'm waiting for Triple H to cut a new era promo. You're probably going to be waiting for a while. I think if he was going to do it, it would have been this week's show. Like, this would have been the week to do it. So don't think that's happening right now. And Psycho Jet Black sent in another $2 super chat. Says, how about Dijakovic for Judgment Day and Dominic versus Dominic? Well, there's another guy like Dominic Dijakovic. What's going on with him? I don't think he's going to be Dominic because you got two Dominics. But then again, it's a new era. So in a new era, one would think maybe people could share the same name. But then you have the AEW issue where it's Page, Cage, and everybody shares the same name, it seems, or has a name that rhymes with somebody else's name. But yeah, I would like to see Dijak get more of a push. He hasn't really done much lately, and he was a pretty big deal in NXT at one point. Seems like a long time ago, but that would be cool if he got pushed. Yeah, he needs to drop that T-Bar name. That's my name, damn it. All in all, Raw was solid, and I think some people on Twitter took it the wrong way, like I was being negative. I thought Raw was a good show. I definitely do not think it was a bad show, but I feel like a lot of the Raws as of late have been pretty solid, and I feel like this Raw was not significantly different from other Raws. There were a few subtle changes, but to me, the real noticeable change was that Triple H's people, Champa, Io Shirai, Dakota Kai, they got more of an emphasis on this show. And that's a positive because they definitely did well in NXT and should be able to have that opportunity on the main roster. Hamp Connell sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Says, this day in WWE in 2006, CM Punk made his ECW debut. Oh, man, what a train wreck of a show that was. CM Punk's debut was awesome, but that was the infamous Big Show Batista match, and that crowd was just crapping on everything. Shaku84 with a $2 super chat, thank you, says, what if Rey Mysterio turns heel? Rey as a heel, it's like Ricky Steamboat. He's not going to go heel. Then again, I never thought Sami Zayn would go heel, and he did. But Rey's never been a great talker. Sami Zayn can talk, which is why the heel turn worked. If Sami could not talk, he would have flopped as a heel. But that guy can cut a promo. Rey was never a great promo, and there's just no need for Rey to be a heel, in my opinion. But who knows? Maybe he might want to try it, and they'll run with it. Who knows? Anything's possible. So all in all, Raw was good. There was talk, and people were like, well, the internet overhyped it, and people were like, well, what were you expecting? Why were you expecting some crazy show? I really wasn't. If you guys followed the other streams over the past week or two, I said I didn't think that we would see any significant changes right away. I really didn't. But then, today, all this talk is coming out, the rumor mill that they're going to try to send a statement with tonight's Raw, and Raw's going to be a great show, and it might be like Raw after WrestleMania. So I think that there were a couple of Twitter accounts that maybe overhyped the show a little bit. And Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat, says, if Dominic goes heel, would they bring in Chavo and Conan to be part of the story? Unlikely, especially Conan, although if it's the Triple H era, maybe there's more of a possibility. I know that Conan and Vince McMahon never seem to be on the same page, so I still think it's unlikely. I don't see that happening. And Building Nexus said, only team that can beat the Usos now are KO and Sami Zayn. I would love that. I mean, Sami Zayn's been doing well as a heel, but I'd love to see the Usos betray Sami Zayn, and then Sami needs some help, brings in Kevin Owens. No Kevin Owens on this show. Maybe that'll be a possibility. No Omos on the show, and Omos might not be long for WWE just because he was a Vince guy and not really a Triple H guy. But yeah, Kevin Owens being off Raw, and Kevin Owens is a Triple H guy, so they gotta be coming up with something for him. Him and Sami Zayn back together, maybe on SmackDown as baby faces. I would be very much into that. Billy L, my thoughts on Ric Flair's last match. Well, I did briefly appear on Jeff Meacham's stream last night to talk about it, but I'll go ahead and give my thoughts real quick here. I'm glad he survived it. The match was not very good. They tried everything they could to drag it out. Rick tried to do stuff, but it was looking rough. Like, he was in the corner after being in the ring for a few minutes, and he just looked completely exhausted. He did bleed. He did take a suplex. He threw some chops, but it was hard to watch. Like, I was legitimately concerned for the entire match. It was hard. It was hard to watch, and I'm just relieved that he got through it okay. At least I hope he got through it okay. Apparently his doctor said he was great afterwards. I don't know if I exactly buy that, but I'm hopeful he'll be okay moving forward here, and he didn't suffer any kind of long-term health issues because of that match. So overall, I give Raw a solid B. I did think it was a good show. It wasn't like a blowaway all-time great Raw. This is the best thing in years type of deal. I know some people are saying that. I'm definitely not in that camp, but I'm also not in the camp of this was bad. It's the same old crap. It was a good show, good Raw, good start. And it's going to take time. I agree with the people that say that it's not going to be a 1 week process. It will take some time to build up the new characters and just keep moving forward. Mr. Tito with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Tito. Says, my best wishes to you, your wife and family, Captain. Appreciate that, Mr. Tito. Thank you for that. And again, thank you to everybody that sent out messages over the past week. We very much appreciate that. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. Hamp Connell did send in a $2 super chat, so I'll get to that real quick. Says, will Triple H bring back Kerwin White? Yeah, sure. Kerwin White is the answer to why wrestling is less popular than it was back in the day. Kerwin White is the answer. And Shaku84 with a $2 super chat says, if Brock Lesnar is staying, what's next for him? That's a great question. I would not mind seeing Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre in front of a crowd. They had that WrestleMania match with no fans. I think you can definitely do that rematch. If McIntyre wins the world title, then you could set up Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre day one or Royal Rumble, something like that. I mean, I would definitely be fine with that. Maybe Brock Lesnar versus Gunther. I saw a comment in the chat room there. Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. Do a rematch from the Royal Rumble. You got a few matches you can do with Brock. I'm cool with him sticking around. Just I really don't think we need to see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar again. Anyways, that's it for tonight, everybody. Thank you all again for tuning in. Much love to you all. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news and rumors. Oh, wait. Hamp Connell sent in another $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Says, sorry for your family's loss. Don't think I've said that yet. Well, I appreciate it, Hamp. I appreciate you tuning in every week, even if you don't love Raw. I appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out the recap. So thank you all again. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your week. And remember to say yes to NoDQ.com. See you all next time.